And welcome back to the Chicago Clubhouse for week 2. Once again, this is the sports show where we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know shit. My name is Emilio Bucks, and joining me as usual is Miss Kristen Petit. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Beautiful lady. I don't know who's that. Who is it? And rounding out the trio once again is my man 50 Grand, the notorious T Nick. He is. I mean, here. In small circles, he's notorious. Okay, so once again, we're here to talk everything Chicago sports, but we're going to focus on them Bears. All right, we got away with the W, but of course, the big story is Mitch. Trash, the hero, both. T Nick, I know this almost pains you to have to give props to Mitch.
I give him props for the fourth quarter. 1 through 3, trash. Missing throws, missing targets, bad footwork, trash.
Just doing his Mitch thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see you nodding, Kristen. All right, Kristen's team Mitch, like
Team Mitchell.
oh,
Mitchell.
excuse me. Does he call himself Mitchell or Mitch?
I call him team. This is Mitchell. I am Team Mitchell.
Well, women always trying to change it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, you know what? I'm Team Mitchell, of course, and it was rough 1 through 3, but fourth quarter, he was razor sharp. He played loose. He played how he likes to play. That offensive line. His receivers made great catches. His running backs made good plays. And I think you have to see that Mitchell against the Giants. The Giants aren't known for having a great pass rush, but things change week to week, and teams get better second week. So you got to see that Mitchell.
yeah, trash in the beginning, kind of pulled together the last minute. It's kind of like me and my marriage. You know what I mean? Anyways, sorry. Too personal, but we know kind of like all right, Mitch isn't Tom Brady, he's not Breeze, where regardless who's behind around him, he's going to be great. So like he needs some help. So like we saw a little bit of that because we got some of the run game, which we did week 1 of last season. So like T Nick, I know. Oh my God, that first play with Patterson when he ran. I was happy, but I was like, God, T Nick is gonna
Man.
I
was ecstatic.
Go ahead.
I was ecstatic, man. Cordarrelle Patterson, first run, 13 yards.
Cordarrelle?
He didn't change that man's name.
Cordarrelle, holy shit! It's
Cordero. Like, I'm sorry, Cordero Patterson.
No, I'm calling him Cordarrelle. But continue.
I call him Mitchell. You call him Cordarrelle. That's what we do on this show.
Cordero, same shit.
It's awful.
But 13 yards was the first run.
Yeah.
13 yards, and I said it that Matt Nagy needs to use him more out of the backfield. And I guess he heard me. Maybe he did.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean,
that
probably
first run.
Maybe.
And he averaged 4.9 yards for the whole game. And then Rick Cohen, he averaged like 5.9 yards for the game.
Little man had 5.9.
Little man
ran between the tackles.
Running between those tackles, boy.
Oh, all right.
And Nagy did not
heard me calling him little man. Now, Kristen, I know that's your man. So like, Cohen, he came to play.
I like that he said he may look light, but he's not. He ran between the tackles. When he went to the sidelines, he took on that hit. He actually knocked off a helmet himself, some of the other teams. So I think this running game, they saw that last year everyone dogged them. No one has faith in them. They figured when Montgomery got hurt, they're like, Tariq and Cordero, please, this is going to be garbage. And they're like, yeah, we'll show you garbage. And they have to do that when they play the Giants, because if Mitchell and his offense can get a balanced attack, they can be a very good offense if they are balanced.
In the end, Mitch came through in the fourth quarter. No time left on the clock, so obviously you got to throw the ball. So you saw way more of that in the fourth quarter. And why Mitchell? I think only his mom calls him that, probably. But yeah.
All right, I'm motherly, so old enough to be his
like
mother.
this
So.
weird
Mitchell.
mom thing. Okay. So, all right, Mitch. He still needs his help, and he got some help in the end of the game from his favorite targets and Anthony Allen Robinson and Miller, especially Miller. Might call him the player of the game. But speaking of mistimed jumps,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
one of the points that we made of last week about this has to happen. We talk about tight end play. And we saw some really funky tight end play in the beginning. Jimmy Graham, I think his vision, I don't know, cataracts. And I didn't got cataracts.
Oh man, he old.
Man,
Hey.
He got freckles. So
the G stands for gets touchdowns.
G stands for grandpa.
He got that touchdown though, didn't he?
Did he get our first touchdown though?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he owed it. I mean, shit, but
He did mistime his jumps. That's why he told Mitchell on the sidelines. It basically looked like he was saying, "I got you," and he said that won't happen again because he knows. Jimmy Graham said like the game would have been different if I could have caught those passes.
Of course, it would have been different.
Of course, he went up late and early. Like usually speed is the first thing to go with, like when you get old. So that's. And actually, I just heard a Green Bay fan mention this on the radio, how they thought he had the same issue up there. His jumps were off for whatever reason. So that's
a couple issues.
Yeah. So
that's something to watch then.
That's something to watch. That's something we got to keep up with.
Because that's what he's here for. That's what those jump balls in the end zone.
Yeah.
Balls over the middle. Like if you're not gonna be able to jump and catch, then
right, you jumping too early, jumping too late. Like, well, what are you doing?
It's cold time. I'll have to change that to Cold K up there instead of Jimmy.
Bring him. Shit. Like, I mean, we didn't bring Jimmy Graham here to be like. I don't feel like he was brought here to be the number one tight end by mid-season. You know what I mean? Like, he's here to kind of groom that young guy, Cole Kemet. So, like, Mitch's favorite target, Allen Robinson, the big talk all week has been about his contract. It went from he wants to be traded to no, I ain't say that shit. And now today it's like, oh, I love Chicago. I'm gonna finish the season here. Justice for, yes, justice for. I think they should pay him, but this is just how the game is played. All of the media attention and the leverage, and since T-Nick, you have such a strong opinion about Allen Robinson, you went through the trouble making him a sign. I guess first. So.
They gotta pay that man. He's proven to be Mr. Consistent. I mean, they can always rely on him. Mitch has always been able to rely on him. They need to pay him. Stop bullshitting, get their heads out of their asses, and pay that man.
But yes, but he's consistent. He's consistent in an environment of chaos. So that might not be that consistent. It's just like, all right, he's the one who fucks up the least.
Or he's the most consistent.
But
player.
He is the most consistent. He is, and he can make those, like, even when he's not open, Mitchell said today, he is open. So, like a lot of the passes, the receivers, they have trouble getting open. And so I think that is what Allen Robinson will be good for.
Do they have trouble getting open, or just Mitch cannot hit them?
No, when you watch a lot of it, they're not getting open as well.
Okay, all
both.
There's separation. Like they don't get very good separation.
Right.
Yes, Mitch does miss them, but there's even in those touchdowns, he had less than the yard they're less than a yard of separation, and that's like the most that
Who's
has
the young
happened.
guy? Who's the new guy? The receiver. What's his name?
Mooney.
Mooney.
Darnell Mooney.
Pretty speedy. Kind of saw a couple flashes from him earlier. Like
38 yards.
yeah. And I'm like, all right, yeah, we definitely could use some speed
And
there.
even with their speed, though, if they're not doing what they need to do to get that separation, even at the line, like
Right. True.
there's something that they've had issues even when Chase Daniel was a quarterback. Like it's just been an issue, and everyone kind of talks about that. And most people, even some of the writers, when they're above, they can see it. They're like, okay, there's not much separation here. I'm not saying that Mitch doesn't miss them frequently, but there is an issue with getting it to the receiver.
I mean, when you're dealing with Mitch, you gotta do extra, pretty much.
No, I mean, actually, you could just do your job and get some separation. If your job, I mean, Mitchell has to do his job too. But if your job is to get separation, then you need to get it.
Well, he's a smaller guy, so the smaller guys don't usually get much separation. They kind of have to rely on their speed, kind of like Steve Smith. He just was burning cats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and then but I think the issue is going to come is like, yeah, he might burn cats, but then now you got to throw a deep ball, and we know how Mitch does with the deep ball.
Actually, they were number one with deep balls.
Who? The Bears?
Who?
They were in the top, or they're top 5. They were in the top 5 or something like that with deep throws.
That only
with deep throats.
I mean, maybe nobody else really threw it deep.
Throats. Oh my God.
Deep passes.
Good deep.
It was something, I may be off of but they were. A lot of people were amazed that they were like, "What? The Bears are even in this conversation?"
Yeah, I missed that part. Just watching the game. But let's go to the other side of the ball. I'm a defensive guy. To love Bears football, you got to love the defense. And I wasn't overly impressed with what I saw. But then it was kind of like it felt like a continuation from last year. T-Nick, let's start up front. One of the keys to winning this game, even though they still won, was pass rush.
Pass rush was very pedestrian at best.
Yeah.
Very pedestrian. There was no pass rush. So Matt Stafford, he had all the time in the world to make all the stupid passes that he wanted to make, which he did. He made a couple good passes though, but he had plenty of time. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. He had plenty of time to do whatever he wanted to do because there was no pass rush. There was no pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved back to the linebackers. They really didn't get any pressure. They really weren't moving too well. The defensive backs, they had to do all the tackling because Adrian Peterson, he would pass those first 2 lines of coverage and get out to the backfield. So then the defensive backs had to come up and make the tackles.
Right. And sometimes they weren't. I think it was somebody got ran over, like.
Yeah. A couple of people. Kyle Fuller got sat down. And the rookie, Jalen Johnson, he got sat down. Adrian Peterson was like, "Welcome to the league, rookie."
Yeah. That was that.
His ass down.
Because Adrian Peterson, he's not that old overall in the scheme of the game, but he still comes from that era where you used to have to tackle, and now they teach these DBs to just hit and not tackle.
Right.
And with AP all day, you cannot just hit that man. You
gotta wrap him and drive. They don't do none of that. AP just be like, "Sit your ass down, rookie."
All right, so Kristen, where are we on the defense? Like our linebacker play looked, just shifting backwards. I was impressed.
I was, Roquan Smith made one play and then you didn't really hear from him again. And Danny Trevathan looked like he lost a step. Like they were
12.
Yeah, he found himself really chasing people a lot in that game,
including that winning touchdown that they could have had. That was his man.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, Danny Trevathan is a key piece to the defense. So whenever they lose him, they lose a lot. But he had a rough one.
Yeah.
I'm sure when he looked at that tape, when they do the good, bad, and ugly tape, he was pretty much on the ugly.
Yeah, and, you just hope that maybe some of that is just not quite being in football shape. They did, these guys didn't have a preseason. So, like, we kind of predicted there might be some pedestrian football in the beginning. And when we're talking about the Bears, it doesn't get much more pedestrian than that. So, to keep it moving, where are we? The secondary, we saw some young guys, we saw some familiar faces, we saw some familiar faces that we didn't hear about. I'm still, and I'll let you jump in on this. Like, I'm still not hearing Eddie Jackson's name anymore. Like, I didn't hear him last year. I didn't hear him Sunday.
No, I didn't either. Eddie Jackson has been absent. Last season he was absent. Last game he was absent. So no, we didn't hear him much. We didn't hear much about Tayshaun Gibson. That's the new safety.
Right.
We didn't hear his name called, but they were making tackles.
I mean, I saw Buster Screen getting burned.
Burnt. Yeah, he got burnt.
He got like a lot of camera time getting burned.
And not for good things.
No,
Right.
no.
He
It
got
wasn't any
toasted.
dancing.
Matter of fact, on that DeAndre Swift drop,
Yeah.
he was after he burnt Danny Trevathan. Buster Screen was supposed to pick him up, and he got his ass burnt.
Got burnt. Yeah. So by a rookie,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure, about what we are seeing from the defense. Christian, is this a Chuck Pagano issue? Like, they're just not as good under him. Still, Khalil Mack is,
I think Khalil Mack didn't play bad, but it's kind of hard when you're being held just about every play and double team. So you just didn't hear his name like we heard when he first got here. And so we're so used to that, we forget the impact that he can make just being there because he takes another person. But I just think that sometimes they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the secondary was a little questionable before Chuck Pagano, but they were a little bit more opportunistic. And
I mean, and Eddie Jackson was amazing.
yeah, because of how they played him, and then they did change it, but they were supposed to bring that back. So, I mean, against the Giants, they have the young quarterback, so I expect them to be able to get a takeaway or two to be able to rattle that young man the way Pittsburgh did.
I mean, gotcha. I mean, more or less the same defense didn't fare particularly well against Daniel Johnson last year. And they got away with the win, but they didn't look impressive. Sometimes I think you mentioned this, Kristen. They just play up and down to the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump over to some Clubhouse member comments. Longtime member Craig Curtis, aka the Football Dad. He says the old line needs to continue to develop. Mitch is average, but good enough to start. The linebackers need to recognize the lead blocker on power runs. Definitely, because I think that's how old man Peter
AP.
got off. Yeah, he got off because they were like just confused. And if you give AP a little room, like, he's hard to tackle. When Detroit switched to man, he played well. He assassinated. I'm talking about Mitch, and Kristen, I think you mentioned that earlier. We got to improve third down. Yes, indeed. Like, we got to improve third down, but what really we have to improve? We have to improve first and second down because
to get into a manageable third.
We cannot keep ending up on third and long. That is recipe for sit your ass down on the punter. You know what I mean? With this team, you know what I mean? Special teams was solid. Shout out to Patterson, your mans. The defense suffered on third down, giving up some huge conversion, problem stopping the run that went down to their inability to pick up that lead blocker. No pressure, no pass protection. But Craig says kudos to Nagy for establishing the run. Yes, 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 yes. Run MCP, run. Absolutely. I agree with what was said here. You got to think about all of the different moving parts here, and everybody just kind of have to study a little bit more. Kristen, before we start to kind of wrap this up, going into the G-Men, I mean, this is a winnable game, as was Sunday. Took a lot to win, but
Too much. It shouldn't have been that hard.
It shouldn't have been that hard, but a W's a W, and this is the Bears.
Right. And it's the NFL. It's tough to win. Look at the Eagles. Thought they had it against the Washington football team.
Absolutely.
So I just think, for the Bears, they just have to play their game. Mitch has to play loose. Receivers, make sure they're there to help. The running game, stay strong. Offensive line, continue to improve. Defense, got to get pass rush. Rattle this young man. He threw an interception Monday night, so you can do it. You can get him to make a mistake.
Absolutely.
You sound really motherly when you say rattle this young man.
young man. I'm very motherly.
Rumble.
Yeah, you gotta that young man. I am motherly.
This young man.
Right. Right.
Sometimes if I can't think of your name in the moment, you just become young man and young lady.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's fun.
The young whippersnapper,
Right. Get it together. You men are so angry. So T-Nick, what's the keys to a win on Sunday against poor Giants team? But
I'm still gonna say pass rush. We have to get a pass rush, even though Daniel Jones is just he's a mediocre quarterback. We saw that against Pittsburgh, but we still need a pass rush. Of course, that will help the defensive backs. Maybe they'll look better if we get a pass rush. But also, number two, I think would be I like the way in the Lions game, I like the way Mitch got everybody involved in that fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, he got everybody involved throughout the game.
Saw that through the whole game, technically.
Yeah, he did.
Make some plays.
He did. He got everybody involved.
Speaking of missed time jumps, again, you bring that up again? Twice in one show? Yeah. What I mean?
And that non-pass interference call, that pass in the end zone to Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
The reason why he couldn't get that second hand on the ball because the guy had his hand.
Absolutely. And there's always going to be that. There's always going to be some terrible calls by the ref. And, it's just one of those things like, you're a mediocre team when you're just relying on the refs getting it right all the time and whatnot. Just a quick mention by Hassan Phenomenon. He also referred to the Mitch and Graham timing, how important that is because, Graham's going to really have to set the tone. As old as he is, he's like 62.
I thought 75.
Yes, I've been wrong before.
G stands for gets touchdowns. Got the first one.
G stands for grandpa.
Graham Cracker. Sorry. Anyway, so he mentioned Mitch also needs to understand zone coverage and stop thinking. And then when you see kind of like him acting under pressure in the fourth quarters, like when he's not thinking and there's not so much chatter in his radio and he's just like reacting as opposed to like trying to read a defense. You see good things from him. I don't know if that's something to hang your hat on, but anyway, so predictions. I'm gonna I'm going to go with the Bears pretty much every week. I might say the Bears have a negative score, but this week I'm going to say Bears 21, Giants 14. Kristen, where are you at on your predictions?
24-17 Bears.
Okay. T-Nick?
The Bears they cannot play the run against New York like they played against Detroit.
Not against Barkley.
Nope. Saquon Barkley will run all over those boys.
Licking his chops because he had, what did he have, like 6 yards? Something
6 yards. Yeah, 6 yards.
I think Ben Roethlisberger had more yards than him.
Yeah.
Chances of him doing that 2 weeks in a row are slim.
Yeah, are slim. So he's foaming. He saw with old man Peterson, who's 87 tomorrow. He ran for 100 yards against us. So like you best believe he's looking at a tape.
So I got a close game.
Yeah.
I got a close game, man. Of course, I think the Bears gonna pull it out, but I'm thinking 24-17.
Yeah. You just really need to hope the defense can hold on enough and that Mitch can hold on enough. Final statements. Go ahead, T-Nick.
Go Bears.
Kristen.
It's club dub season here in Chicago, so let's continue the party.
Forever the optimist. Kristen, love you for that. Always will appreciate that. We need more of that in the world today. More optimism.
You need a woman running it.
Yeah, seriously. So here's to more club dub, and even when we lose, drink up. Bear down, motherfucker.
Mitchell said it was lit.